Hi, this may be the first video of our channel. It just depends on the sequence of how the videos are released. But what we're going to try to cover right now are Cybertruck accessories. We may expand later on to 3D printing because that has a bit of an overlap with the Cybertruck accessories. But for right now, let's talk about running boards. There's a lot of running boards out there, and if you've noticed, they all look the same from certain companies. That's because these are China-based companies, and they're purchasing these running boards from the same manufacturer. So you'll notice same pattern on many of these. This one you'll see on Test Launch, Cyber Gear, Test Studio, which is one company I'd stay away from. Uh, T Sport Line, Test Mag. There's another set of, they look a little bit more sturdier and mount a little bit differently, from EV Base and Hansho. All of these are just basically running boards. They're just steps, just like on your front porch or whatever. That's how they're built. They're not very sturdy, and they are not to be considered Nerf bars because Nerf bars are more for off-roading. These are just running boards or steps. And Hansho actually has a little bit sturdier of a mount. If you notice that these mounts are 2-point mounts, actually 3 points, I guess. But I'll show you later on as to how they are constructed. Hansho, though, has the original release first blocked the jack points, one of the jack points on the Cybertruck. But from what I've seen, they're going to release a new one that gets past that, and so you can have access to both jack points on each side. There's another one that's an actual Nerf bar, and that's from Unplugged Performance, but so far it's vaporware. They haven't really, from what I've heard, they haven't released it, and it's fairly expensive. So let's look a little bit deeper into these running boards. And I'd like to mention one more thing about these Chinese-based companies is that they don't have a U.S. presence. So if you have any problems with the merchandise that you purchase from them, good luck returning it. Good luck getting any customer service that works well. It's just they're based in China, so you just can't return things just like you would at Amazon. Now there are some of these companies that actually go through Amazon, which is great, and those are the ones I'd probably go through rather than going straight through a website that is from the China-based company, because once you charge your PayPal or whatever that you're going to use, good luck getting a refund. So let's talk about the running boards themselves. Now this one, they're pretty cheaply made. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit and then see if we can get it go right there. Let me take the microphone off and you can hear this. They're very cheaply made in that the gauge of steel is not that great. You can hear that. You can hear that. That is just basically a thin sheet metal that's bent to conform to the shape of the running board. Now, let me pull this off, pull the camera off of the stand. It's going to get a little wobbly. Okay. So let's talk about pros and cons. We already talked about some cons. Actually, there's more cons than pros. I think the only real true pro is that they look okay on the Cybertruck, and that you can use them as a step. The fasteners that are included are black painted bolt, lock nut, and washers. Same size all the way throughout. The bolts are an ISO 8.8, and I'm not too sure if these are real or not. They painted, uh, you know, typical Chinese quality. It probably is not a real ISO 8.8. The washer is fairly small, and I dropped it. It's painted black. And so what I did, and you've got a flat washer. Flat washer is fine. There's really nothing wrong with that. I went to McMaster Car, where I purchased all of my fasteners from. Picked up the Japan Automotive certified ISO 10.9 bolts, stainless steel, and the stainless steel washer. And if you check and see the size difference between this is a standard washer versus what's included with the kit. So it's pretty small. And so that's what we'll use on this installation. We'll be using these. Now for the running boards. The running boards, the mounts are basically tack welded to the inside of the running board. And they're kind of forced to do that because of aesthetic reasons, but you're stuck. There's two welds, one there, and then on the other side of the mount, same thing. These are just stiffeners. I don't know how well these work. They just are there just to try to stiffen up the cheap sheet metal. The brackets, there are 5 brackets per side. Each side has an elongated bolt hole for the frame, and these 2 bolt holes go onto the running board itself. Now, if you look at it on the side, there is a toe right here, and that acts as a pressure point against the frame of the Cybertruck. So you'll be bolting this one bolt onto the frame of the Cybertruck, and the pressure will be on this pushing against the frame and the bolt itself. So all of basically the only thing that's holding it up is that bolt. And so it's because of the pressure here, it's acting as a leverage point there. So what does that mean? Well, that means that it's not any kind of diagonal impact will probably snap the stock bolt, the ISO 8.8, probably snap it right off. And or it will push sideways and bend. Or these will break off, given that they look like they're cold welds. So you can't call these really Nerf bars. They are running boards, basically steps. The only Nerf bars are like I had pointed out before. There's just only one manufacturer that's vaporware, and these you really can't use them as off-road Nerf bars. Another odd thing about them, and many of you that drive in snow or mud will actually see that underneath this running board is a huge, huge cavernous area. What that means is everything that gets kicked up from the road is going to get packed under here. All the snow, all the mud, everything. And that's going to be a challenge to clean out. So let's get to the Cybertruck and do an install. And it's fairly simple. Like I said, there's only one bolt holding it on to the Cybertruck. The only thing that we will have to be concerned about is the spacing between the side of the running board and the Cybertruck itself. Mainly because everything flexes when you're bouncing around in a truck. So we'll have to figure out what adequate gap is so it won't rub against the Cybertruck, and the torque of the bolts. And that's it. We'll come right back and see you soon. Okay, so instead of boring all of you with an install, I've put in the first 5 on the left side of the car, the first 5 brackets. And interesting thing is I found out that this toe or ear on this mounting bracket is fairly limited. You really don't have a huge amount of play. The reason why the elongated bolt hole was there is because it's trying to align to the pan of the Cybertruck. So I guess we're stuck. We can't really adjust the gap between the running board and the Cybertruck by that much. So what I've done is I've hand tightened each one of these bolts, and I'm going to now install the running board onto this. Now, one thing that hasn't been stated in any of the videos that I've seen so far is the torque spec of this bolt and all the others. And so a typical ISO 10.9 is for this is probably about 20 foot-pounds. So I'm going to torque these all down to 20 foot-pounds once I get the running board on and aligned up, and I will show you what happens after that. Okay, so everything's been torqued on, installed. I've noticed that the bolts show. So stainless bolts showing through. I can always paint them. The gap is something that I was worried about, and I still am. It's pretty tight. I had to really work to get even that small of a gap there, but it was tighter up front. You notice how the inconsistency is between this whole running board. Gaps are wider in some spots, of course, and tighter. Now, as it gets up to the front, it's much tighter, to the point where this gap is just minuscule. I'm really worried about this. But it's installed. Will I keep it on? I'm not too sure about that. Let's see what it does. If it does any damage to the side of the Cybertruck, I'll probably take them off. But for now, they're on. So just to conclude, that's probably the only advantage is that they can be used as a step. They look okay. They do stick out farther than you would expect. It's more into the draft zone of the tires, so whether or not it's going to cost anything for mileage or distance wise, I don't know. I haven't done any measurements with or without them. I didn't check to that as to that because I have this on top, and that also causes some drag. So we'll see. But that's the end of this review. Stay tuned for other ones. I will, as usual, give you an honest appraisal, the pros and cons, and I'm not sponsored by anybody, so I get to say whatever I want. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next video.